Hi there, YouTube. So, Singapore is an interesting place because it's one of the only places in the world that I've found so far that has toy prices that are as expensive or even more expensive than they are here in Australia. And that's why I was super curious when, inside a licensed shopping mall, as part of a winter festival, or winter even though, Singapore is a tropical country, so don't really have any snow, but a winter wonderland theme for the shopping centre for Christmas time, there was some markets. And I managed to pick up 2 clone/knockoff sets. One of them being this one, which we're going to look at in this video, and also this much more obvious knockoff, which I'll be looking at in another video separately. So what I want to have a look at in this video is what exactly you get for, it was meant to be 18, but I got it down to 15 Singaporean dollars, which works out to just about 16, 17 Australian dollars. We're going to take a look at this set, see what the bricks compare like to Lego bricks, and whether the quality is there in any sense of the word, and finally, whether this actually works as a toy, as a Transformer robot. Because one thing that I want to say about these is they do something that not a lot of other, even licensed Transformer toys that are made of bricks actually do. They actually transform without the need to rebuild them, and that's something that I had a massive problem with the original Creo sets, that you had to go through the very lengthy process of rebuilding them before you could actually play with the robot, and that just wasn't ever practical because it was nothing like what ever happened in the show. Alright, so what are we waiting for? Let's do it. Before I crack this open, I'll just quickly give you guys a look at the box. Looks like your very classic knockoff kind of style box. You do actually have a brand here, and if you Google search LOOMEN, you'll see they've actually got quite a few clone style sets going around. You can see that kind of, all that nonsense there. Vacuum Fulmination, Super Thunder, Deformation Super Robot. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. See, blah blah blah. Interesting enough, this one's actually got a shiny holographic style sticker to indicate that it's real Joy Town branded, whatever that means. Alright, you can see quite a thin box. It feels like a very, very cheap and nasty cardboard. You can see it's this kind of cardboard. It's very cheap and nasty. You've got this stuff on the back. And then you've got this random stuff here. If anyone can decipher what this means, go for it. Just pause the video if you want to read whatever that is actually about. Alright, in classic most other brands that aren't Lego style, there's no numbering over these bags. Some of the bags, like this one, feel really cheap and nasty. They finish off really weirdly. Yeah, not exactly sure what's going on with these pieces, but sure. And then you've got some really funky looking instructions. Again, you've got that shiny sticker. Interesting. You've got a funky looking instructions of Super Thunder, which is apparently this figure's name. Printed on, pretty thin paper. And again, it's like a fold out sheet like this. So no nice books here. This is what you get. And as you can see, it's very, very crammed. Very, very crammed indeed. And from already looking at it, I'm already confused about how this is supposed to work. Alrighty guys, I'm going to build this up and then we can take a look at it. Alright, so the first thing I just want to quickly note before I put this all together with the bricks. First of all, unlike most knockoff brands, there's actually something written on top of these bricks. Now, it's really hard for me to get the camera to focus on them, but there you go, it's upside down. It's not consistent, it's kind of spread all around. I'm trying to get the right way up. I think it says Kazi, K-A-Z-I. Yeah, so there's actually something on top of the studs on these bricks. Second thing I noticed was that it looks like the inside of the plate style bricks are actually 2 pieces that have been fused together, as you can see by that little separation there. So I don't know what that means for the longevity of the set. But as far as I can tell, the clutch power seems okay, but then as you can see, the quality control on the pieces, as you can see there's scratches in there, seems a little bit off. So anyway, let's get this together. Alright, so after some somewhat messy building, there is the final finished product, Super Thunder, in dual propeller helicopter mode thing. The last thing I want to mention about the instructions is that it had a lot of sub-assemblies, which is something that LEGO and other brands do use. For example, building little bits and sticking them on. But I'm talking about sub-assemblies of just 2 to 3 pieces. So what ends up happening is you have, a whole pile of like 2 pieces stuck together and 3 pieces stuck together, and then you have to shuffle through and figure out where they're supposed to go, rather than just doing them one at a time, which I think is more logical and easier to deal with mentally. But anyway, okay, so as I built this, I discovered that, yeah, the QC on these bricks is practically non-existent. They were very, very difficult to get together. A lot of them had very, very sharp edges, particularly the joint pieces, which you'll see more in robot mode. But they were very, very, to the point where I almost cut myself on them. So this is definitely not something you want to be giving to little kids, because it's just, you shouldn't be giving it at all because it's rubbish. But definitely something which could actually be dangerous because of the really sharp nature of those pieces, and that if they got swallowed, they would be incredibly, incredibly dangerous to someone. So that's something that I definitely want to note right now. The quality control, I thought it was okay. No, it's rubbish. So in terms of features, this thing's got 3 semi-functioning wheels. They do tend to pop off a little bit every now and then, but they do roll. Although the rolling is somewhat inhibited by the fact that the tail pretty much drags along the ground, because the tolerances in these pieces, as you can see, in normal LEGO, in real LEGO, the tolerances are a little bit off in these joint kind of style pieces, but in this, because they're fake, they're really 1, 2, 3 joints down. It can't keep straight, so it's dragging along the ground. In terms of the design, they've got some interesting choices. For something that's like, here you go, you can see this joint is very floppy. So I'm talking about, so it doesn't stay up. So it's probably going to fall down during this review. Considering it's, a clone, no-name knockoff, it's actually got quite a decent amount of detail. For example, you've got the flashing lights here, you've got these kind of lights here. The actual build itself, had it been made with good bricks, was actually quite, strong. There was a lot of overlapping parts, there was a lot of really strong builds, so that, apart from the floppy joints, I didn't actually think this was going to fall apart in my hands, which is something that can happen on these kind of cheaper builds. You've got things like the binoculars used as cameras or lasers or sensors or something. You've got these light pieces up here. You've got these looking kind of weird. I guess you could say they may be engine outlets or something. They make sense in robot mode, but they don't really make sense in vehicle mode, but sure. You've got this big wheel piece, which I don't know what it's doing because it doesn't go down. Because the legs are there. It's meant to be up like this according to the instructions. So, not exactly what's going on there. And then obviously you've got the rotating propellers, although they rotate. Again, this is going to keep falling over. They rotate kind of poorly, it's very, very stiff. And I think the design for the propellers is probably one of the weakest parts of the whole design, because it just doesn't seem very aerodynamic and really this thing's actually ever going to take off. But because of all the joints, you can move them, so you can do stuff like this once it's flying, or, well, if the wings stay up, which they're probably not going to. Yeah, so immediately I can say this in vehicle mode just really, really doesn't work. Having this kind of dodgy joint here really, really takes out of the set. So yeah, it doesn't actually look too bad, but in terms of actual play value and the putting it together, you can totally straight away tell it is a knockoff. Alright, so now I'm going to put this into robot mode, which is pretty simple really, and we'll take another look. Alright, so after a pretty simple transformation, this is the thing in robot mode. I think this is definitely the better of the 2 modes, both for play value and for just the way it looks. And I actually kind of think it looks kind of cute, but maybe that's just me. So in robot mode, I'll just rotate it around. You can see that, of course, because of the fact that it's brick building, it doesn't have a super sleek transformation. You've got kind of a bit of a beer gut thing going on here. And then looking on the back, you've got quite a big backpack. If you're not a Transformers fan, you may not be super sure what that means, but that pretty much means when a lot of the vehicle mode stuff ends up just sitting on the back of the figure rather than disperse across the whole figure. So in this case, the whole cockpit, it does something, it does actually come down, so they did think about that to some extent, but it does mean you have a lot of weight on the back here, so he is prone to falling over backwards, particularly because the joints on this are pretty rubbish. Bring that just all the way around. So he's got head articulation forwards and backwards, and it goes side to side. So that is all this is to his head. You can see, it's a bit hard on camera to see it from here, but the QC, or lack of thereof, you can see the translucent piece there is just covered in scratches. You can see he's got these 2 missiles, which I guess you can kind of pull off if you wanted to launch them. Not like that. Ugh, like that. But I don't know, whatever, that'd be up to the play person. He's got the arms, obviously have the full range of motion. At each joint they can go, you know, side to side and then up and down. Although this is a broken one, so I probably shouldn't have picked that demonstration. Same thing with the hand pieces, although again, he doesn't actually have any hands. He's just got these propeller blades, which I actually think doesn't look as bad as it probably could. Because of the fact that they don't look super like helicopter blades, they look a little bit more hand-like. But maybe that's just me, I'm not sure. Then with the legs, you've got this joint up here, which is a hip joint, but it is somewhat inhibited by, first of all, this, which you can just push forward if you want to make him lean forward, but also by the fact that the wheels actually end up on the inside, so you can't bring his legs any closer together than that at the, what would be the thigh area, because of the fact you've got that interference from the other wheels. So that can limit your ability to move him around. Then the fact that, yeah, as I said, these joints, some of them are okay, like this one's okay, but then the one on his ankle is really soft, so that makes posing a little bit difficult. And then to make it even more complicated, you've actually got an ankle pivot, which is something that, you know, most legitimate Transformers don't even have. But, you know, it's somewhat stiff, but this one, for example, is a bit looser, so they tend to kind of flop around and do weird things when you're trying to make him stand up in a functional way. So he does actually have some decent posability. It's just the problem is that because of the, you know, the rubbishness of the pieces, it's really difficult to get him to stay in those kind of poses without him just kind of flopping over and moving all around the place. So I guess then, in summary, you have to think about, well, look, this is a knockoff Lego brand, and would I recommend this brand? Absolutely no way under any circumstances would I do that. Even though I only paid, you know, 15 Singaporean dollars, which is about, you know, 16, 17, maybe 18 Australian, depending on the day. It's really, really, really not worth your time. The brick quality is very poor, both in the fact the way it goes together, it doesn't want to click together properly, the clutch power is quite inconsistent, and just the fact that some of the edges are legitimately dangerous because of how sharp they are. But also, the models that come out of them, I mean, sure, they're not bad. This is by no means a, you know, bad-looking Lego robot, but you can just get so many nicer ones that Lego have actually done themselves, or other companies have done. And I really just think that, although I think this is kind of cool for the novelty factor, it's just really not going to be worth the massive amount of disappointment you're going to get when it just falls apart because the bricks are just that bad. Alrighty guys, I do have one more of these reviews to do on the bigger Optimus Prime style thing, which if he's anything like this is going to be an absolute disaster, but hey, I can show you guys and we can all laugh together at how I wasted my dollars. Alright guys, let me know of your thoughts if you've had any experience with either LOOMEN, even though I really doubt you have, just because of how weird it all is. Or, you know, your experience with other knockoff brick companies, particularly the poor ones, because I know there are some pretty good ones around now these days. Do all those cool things to do on YouTube. Have a good new year in case I don't talk to you again before then. And, as always, thanks for watching. That's all we've got time for. This is XtremeTrainz.
I am Kolta, master of the Skull Warriors, and here to claim Okoto and destroy the Bionicles.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was there some kind of a misunderstanding? Let me assist you in some way.
You treat me as fool. For that you will pay.
Easier than I expected. Oh no, I'm in the center of this frame. Please come back.